Hi, welcome back to the Python series for episode 2. In the last lesson, we covered variables and data types. Today we'll be starting with arithmetic operators, as well as learning how to input and output the results. Let's get started. As you can see, most of the math operators are pretty much the same, except for division, multiplication, and exponential, which are highlighted in red. And we also have another operator called floor division, which is used to divide numbers and output a whole number if the answer is a fraction. Now we'll look at how to perform these operations and display the results. So the first and most direct way to output the result of an operation is to put the operation in a built-in print function. If you use IDLE as your code editor, the result will appear in the Python shell window. If you're using PyCharm, it'll output in the display menu at the bottom of your screen, and so on for all the code editors. The other way to output operation results is to store the numbers in variables and then put the variables with the respective operations into the print function. In this example, it doesn't really make a difference whether you use a variable or keep typing the numbers again as we did in the previous screen. But in other cases, for example numbers with long decimal points, storing them in variables makes it a lot more convenient. So in this example, we have the variable x containing the value 5 and the variable y containing the value 7. So we put the variable x, the operator of addition, and y, and it outputs the value 12. So this is how it works with outputting using variables. Okay, on to the next part. Here's where it gets a little more complicated. Now we're introducing an integer function and an input function to let the user input whole numbers, which will be stored in the variables x and y. Note that the integers can either be positive or negative. Also, notice the hash and the triple quotes in the middle. These are examples of the syntax or Python grammar for comments. Comments are basically like notes or anything that isn't run by your code editor when you run your program. Pause the video and try this short code out in your Python editor and let me know in the comments if it made sense to you. Done? Okay, great, let's move on. Similarly to the previous screen, the program takes an input from the user for a number, except that now the numbers that the user inputs can be in the float data type, in other words, decimal numbers. Again, the float data type can also take positive or negative numbers. Pause the video and test the difference between the program on the previous screen and the one on this screen. Done? Alright, now for the last part of this topic. In the case where we get an answer to an operation with a lot of decimal points, a good practice is to reduce the number of decimal places in the output for better readability. In order to do this, you use the format function. To change the different number of decimal places, you just need to replace this number. The light green text over here is what you'll see either in your Python shell for IDLE or in the output box for PyCharm. And that's all for today's episode. Thank you so much for watching and stay tuned for episode 3. Goodbye!